Now, isn't this reminiscent of the Battlefield 3 beta? The UMP-45, the blue hazy tunnels of Metro, brings back some pretty fun memories, because I actually did enjoy the Battlefield 3 beta, and the UMP-45 was definitely a powerhouse when the beta was out. But it's gone through quite a few changes since then. We'll talk a little bit about that, but I am playing with a bunch of people you may recognize. Unfortunately, we're all scrambled up on different teams. We're all over the place. But that actually made for a pretty entertaining game. A handful of them are on the other team, a handful are on my team, and it actually becomes pretty competitive on the next set of incoms here. So I hopefully you do enjoy that. For some reason, I just felt like using the UMP 45 though. It just, I don't know. I've been thinking about it lately. I was like, man, I used to really use the UMP 45 back in the beta days, and it's gone through quite a change. I mean, if you remember back when the game was first out, they had initially nerfed the UMP-45, and it wasn't until that first big patch that the UMP-45 actually got a substantial buff. They took it up to a higher damage weapon so that it does 35 damage up close or something like that, 34, 35. They made it so that it had a damage bonus because it does shoot a 45, which made more sense that it does more damage than the other PDWs. I mean, that would suck to get hit by one of those up close. So they buffed it up close. They made it so that the drop off was super, super sharp. So like after 8 meters, it basically becomes pretty average pretty quickly. But that's a complete 180 from what it used to be. I mean, if you remember how it used to have the same damage model of like what the PP2000 has now, where it held its damage a little bit longer. It was the one PDW that basically could reach out a little bit further. And you know how DICE is, they like to ruin all my old showdowns, so I have to go back and redo them because they're constantly making changes. And they changed it up a little bit, and the UMP-45 was really heavily used, and then it's been tweaked again since then. It's not as good as it was when it was first kind of tweaked a little bit. I think when they first tweaked it and gave it the 34 damage, it was basically in its prime. I feel like that had its sweet spot. It was perfect. But recently they've tweaked it a little bit more. I looked up and down to try to figure out which patch that was in, which I'm talking about right now, but I couldn't find it. It must have been in the Aftermath patch is what I'm thinking, but they changed it up a little bit to make it so that the PP2000 was a little bit better. But I'm going on quite a good rampage, and this guy's blocking me. He's gonna get me killed. He got me killed. But I'm also using the M26 Mass, which, I was going through my service star things. As you guys know, I'm a service star whore. I was looking through it and I was like, man, M26 Mass, I'm going to eventually have to get that, even though technically my quest is on primaries. I've always thought the M26 Dart and the M26 Mass are good enough to run as a primary because, I mean, essentially what you're getting is a shotgun secondary, a little pump action shotgun in your pocket. So I'm actually kind of surprised that more people don't use the M26 Dart, M26 Mass. I like the Dart better than the Mass. Just because I feel like I get more consistent one-shot kills with the dart, just because it seems like in all my engagements people are a little bit further away. The regular M26 is fine as well, but like I said, I'm a dart guy. You guys notice I use flechette on my other weapons, so it only makes sense that I use dart when I'm using the M26, but really it doesn't really matter. I mean, both of them are pretty good considering they are a pump action, so they do get the same damage multipliers as a pump action shotgun, which is nice. But oddly enough, another one of the beta classes I was thinking about was like the M416 or the M16 with ACOG. Because think about it, guys. Think about how many people use the ACOG. Because it was the first optical attachment you unlocked in the beta. So you saw so many different people running around with the ACOG. Now you would be pretty hard-pressed to find someone who actually uses the ACOG on the M16 or even the M416 or any of the weapons for that matter, just because, it's just not used. I mean, most people go with either iron sights or low zoom scopes. Because they know that ACOG's really not that useful. So I expect me to do a video on that soon. I've actually been thinking about that a lot. I've been thinking about maybe going through some of the old setups that people used to use that aren't really very heavily used at all anymore in Battlefield 3. I think that kind of beta swag that used to exist, it's gotten lost. It's gotten lost in the memories. I mean, Battlefield 3 has been out for almost, 2 years now? Come this October, it will hit its 2-year anniversary. So we've got a ways to go before it hits that, but it's still been out for quite a while in terms of a modern game. Most modern games do not last that long. I mean, they're usually done right away, and UMP-45 kills so quickly. That 34 damage up close, it can bail you out of a lot of crappy situations. I'm honestly surprised more people don't use it. I feel like this is a weapon that you'd think a lot of people would really kind of gravitate towards, especially on some of the close quarters maps, but you just don't see it used that much. I mean, 600 rounds per minute, I guess, is really hard to compete, but I mean, that 34 damage, that time to kill up close is just astronomical, especially if you're getting headshots. And the funny thing is I see a lot of really good players use the UMP45. Like, I've seen some people that are just, level 100 with like 10,000 kills with the UMP45. So that, if that's not a sign that it's good, guys, I don't know what is. So take it from me, this thing can actually do some work in the right hands. It's really a weapon that relies a lot on precision. The slow fire rate means that you got to get your bullets on target. But when you're hitting your targets, you're doing a lot of damage. You're taking them out pretty quickly. So I do enjoy using this UMP45. But let me know, would you like to see some ACOG classes, or maybe some of the old beta classes that you used to see people run when the game was first out? Heck, maybe we'll even do a USAS frag rounds class, because oddly enough, the first time I ever ran into the USAS frag rounds was in like the first week of the game. And I just really didn't think much of it. I was like, man, that's really kind of a noob weapon. And then before you knew it, the epidemic hit, and everybody and their mamas were running the USAS frag round. So it didn't take people long to figure out, hey, this is probably the best setup in the game, because you can snipe people from so far away. I think it took till like Karkan before people actually started to relegate their classes to only being USAS frag rounds, support with USAS frag rounds, support with USAS frag rounds. And the reason why everyone ran support is so they could just sit there and spam the crap out of it. As you see me just doing laps looking for people around the MCOM, and I'm kind of teasing the other guys on the other team. I'm like, man, we got this MCOM. I'm just running in circles. Someone needs to come kill me. But I think it actually ended up being a pretty fun game. We were pretty evenly matched. I think we got split up pretty evenly, and it ended up being a pretty entertaining game to both watch and play in. But hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. I thought it'd be fun to look back at some of the old classes that used to be popular in Battlefield 3. The UMP45 in the beta was my cup of tea. It was a lot of fun because it was slightly a little bit OP. But OP weapons are fun. They're fun. But if you missed my past videos, here's a chance to catch up, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.